Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over Live. She is the founder and president of the Best Friends Foundation, a school-based character education program that has touched the lives of over 30,000 girls in 15 cities. Tonight, she's here to give us a warning about our daughters and the unique perils they face in today's hyper-sexualized culture. She's the author of the new book, Daughters in Danger, helping our girls thrive in today's culture. We're very pleased to be joined by Elayne Bennett.
Thank you, Raymond.
Great to see you. And the book is riveting, frightening, and fascinating. Let's start with what dangers and why are our daughters facing more dangers today, do you think?
Well, you touched on it. Our culture today is more vulgar, it's more violent, and it's more sexualized than ever before. And I think, tragically, 40% of teenage girls know someone who has been hit or beaten in their intimate relationships. We know that domestic violence has increased in the last few years. The White House just had a council on women and girls in which they discussed the fact that sexual violence and domestic violence is on the upswing. College campuses, 1 out of 5 girls have been sexually assaulted on our college campuses.
Wow. And let's back up a bit and explain what factors you think are contributing to this. I mean, when I read your book, 9.4% of high school students have experienced dating violence, 22% of girls. What are the consequences of this kind of violence?
Well, the consequences are very sad for the girls.
Right.
Think of what that does to their self-worth and their emotional well-being. Any time a young girl or a young guy is in a relationship in which there's fear, it's time to get out. And we need to encourage our young people to know there are answers, there are places to go, there are adults who will help them. And colleges are moving, they're moving slowly, but they are moving to take stands on some of these serious issues. I really like what Princeton has done with the Dean No Contact Order.
What does that mean?
That means that if someone is feeling harassed, a girl ordinarily, or it could be a guy, by another student, that student does not have to take legal action. He or she can simply request a Dean No Contact Order, in which the harasser must stay away and must not contact that student.
Or
Risk expulsion.
Aha. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about that, the dangers and the danger hot spots in the college scene. Things have changed an awful lot in just the last decade.
Right. Well, the hookup culture, we know, is a major part of the danger. It's prevalent now on campuses. We know that, again, the hookup culture, for some reason, seems to have led to more dangerous situations for girls. Binge drinking? Binge drinking is on the upswing. Girls now, or particularly girls, for some, they've tracked girls in co-ed dorms, are 2 times more likely to binge drink than they did, say, 8 to 10 years ago.
Wow.
So the girls are getting the message, I think, that they can party at the same level of the guys and that they won't suffer.
Well, the girls are getting the message that they can be frat boys.
Yeah, exactly.
There's this kind of odd predatory behavior, carefree sort of madness out there. Tell us how much of this is coming from the pop culture.
Oh, a lot.
To what degree?
A great amount. The social network has contributed to this feeling that you can go on and chat with, you think you're chatting with 2 or 3 people and you're chatting with 200 or 300 people. The anonymity.
The sexting.
The sexting has gotten to be a big deal. And that's starting as young as 6th, 7th, 8th grades with the availability of the smartphones. 85% of middle schoolers have smartphones. And guess what that opens them up to?
Yep, and you're seeing the sad results on these campuses and in the lives of the people you deal with all the time. Let's talk about pornography. We have seen an explosion of pornography. The effect that this has, not only on boys, but on the women and the young girls that they meet. Tell me about that and how you've found, the things you've found anecdotally through your work.
Well, Judith Reisman is the authority on this, and I have great regard and great respect for her. She has worked diligently in this field to try to make people aware of what the damage to a young man's psyche of early reading of pornography. And apparently it's even far more available now.
Well, because of the smartphones and the computers, yeah.
Exactly. And often parents have no idea what their sons, as young as 9, 10, and 11, can be exposed to. The pop-ups,
right,
as we know. And they really do need to take some action in putting controls on the internet.
And there is female pornography as well. I mean, I read chunks of 50 Shades of Grey, but when this thing was exploding, it's in the grocery aisle. You see ladies and young girls reading it on beaches.
It's beyond my comprehension.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically about a sadistic relationship
exactly. Where
with an overlay of romance.
One?
Yeah, I mean,
Maureen Dowd wrote about this and said, after all these years, why would women in droves want to read a book that is about female submission?
Yeah. Yeah,
and in the sickest way.
Yeah, submission is the light word for it. I mean,
well,
this is humiliation, degradation.
Humiliation, degradation, depravity.
Yeah.
I think I would caution any parent today not to have this book in their house, not to have it available for their adolescent daughters.
What does it teach?
Or their sons.
Is it teaching girls to believe that this is normal behavior, that you can be subjected to all kind of sadomasochistic, what I find, depravity is a good word, in the name of affection and intimacy? Is it teaching them that that's okay?
I don't know what it's teaching. I don't think it's teaching anything. I think it's about shock. I think it's about titillation, just getting people to read a book and then buy another book.
Yeah,
and I think there are 3 books now, and now they plan to make a movie. I do think the fallout from this could be really dangerous to our young girls.
Tell me about the Best Friends Foundation, an incredible organization that goes into schools, public schools, and teaches character formation, encouraging abstinence to wait to have sex once a marriage is
That's right. We tell our girls to make the decision, and this is in the 6th grade, to say no to sex, drugs, alcohol, and violence. And we started in 6th grade. We have a weekly program through 8th grade. And then once our young girls go on to high school, we have a Saturday program called the Diamond Girl Program. And in 2000, we began a program for boys because the principals were so happy with how the girls' behavior improved. They were happy with the fact that academic achievement went up. These are all side issues to our main issue of preventing misbehavior.
But it's peer-to-peer, right?
Exactly.
How does that work?
Well, it's forming a peer group, a positive peer group, which I would absolutely encourage parents to be very aware of who their daughters' friends are and have their friends into the home, because a peer group, particularly in adolescence, starting at 13, 14, 15, is a primary factor in that child's engagement in risk behavior. If the peer group isn't engaging, your child will not be. If the peer group is, there's a heavy, heavy chance
to pull that child in.
Even though parents certainly are the primary influencers, peer group stacks right behind. And now, with the greater amount of time spent in entertainment media and on social networking versus within the family and in family discussions and quality family time, peer groups are becoming more and more dominant.
If you have a question for Elayne Bennett, if you're having a challenge with your own daughter, the number is on the screen, 1-800-221-9460. You can find us at worldover@EWTN.com, or you can tweet me at Raymond Arroyo. What is the secret, Elayne Bennett, to your success? When you started, a lot of these principals said, hold on, you got this nicely dressed, McLean, Virginia living, nice lady. Oh, okay, Maryland living, nice middle-class lady coming into our public school. How can she possibly connect with these inner-city kids on any level?
It's
What's the
interesting
secret?
you should ask that. Way back, 20 some odd years ago, someone said, stay in your own zip code.
Oh.
These children are not going to listen to you. Why they won't identify with you. But a wonderful woman, Pauline Hamlin, who was the principal of Amadon, I think she's been on your program, stood up at a meeting and said, I want Elayne Bennett in my school next year with this program, because I had done some tutoring at Amadon. And she said, you know, children really don't look at what color you are. They look to see and they sense whether or not you care about them. And thankfully, the students sensed that this was something that would bring them in touch with adults with whom they could respect and they could learn from. And I have this undying faith in our young people, because I do believe hope springs eternal. And many of the children in this program are from single-parent families, wonderful mothers, many of them, some whose mothers were not in the home, but they saw an opportunity to be a part of a group in which they were a valued member. And I think they also saw an opportunity to feel more connected to their school and to have fun. As one little girl said, best friends brings my joy up. And that's a phrase that I will treasure forever, because that's what it's about. We want children to enjoy their childhood. That's why we brought in wonderful dance instructors, and we had aerobics, and we had music that was inspirational music. And for our boys, we had step drill teams and athletic activities and things that we knew would bring them joy.
We're going to talk in a moment about why you felt called to this particular work, and what tips you might offer the audience. I know we're getting lots of emails and calls, so we're going to take a quick break. We will continue with Elayne Bennett. She'll answer your questions. Keep those emails and calls coming. World over at EWTN.com. Raymond Arroyo on Twitter. We'll be right back in a moment.
Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over Live. On set, I'm joined by Elayne Bennett, the president of the Best Friends Foundation and author of this new incredible book, Daughters in Danger, Helping Our Girls Thrive in Today's Culture. In a moment, we'll get to your questions. Just hold tight for me. How did you get involved in this, Elayne? Was there a pivotal event that sort of drew you to this work?
I think I had a reality check when I was at Georgetown University Child Development Center, and I was working on issues in daycare. And a young girl came in with her baby to be evaluated, and she was 12 years old. And that made me wonder, how in the world can this child, who needed a childhood of her own, raise a child? And I started thinking about that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there were programs at Georgetown for girls from upper socioeconomic brackets, who were suffering from anxiety, from, in some cases, eating disorders. And often when I would hear the discussions from some of the therapists that many of the girls felt as if they'd been used by boys. They'd become sexually active too young. They did not get pregnant, because that didn't necessarily happen within that group. But it seemed to me that someone needed to talk to adolescent girls about the kind of behavior they should be engaging in now. A lot of talk was about contraception at that point. Plumbing, exactly. And not so much about self-respect. How do you get self-respect, self-control? The fact that sexual activity is really adult activity. It's really not for children. It's not healthy for children.
Destructive for them, yeah.
And it's not only destructive physically, because the STD epidemic was just beginning. This was in the late 80s, beginning to rear its ugly head, and now we used to have 2 to worry about. Now we have 25 sexually transmitted diseases. But more important, really, although that's very important, then the physical health is the emotional health.
Yeah.
And so in thinking about this, talking this over, I talked it over with my husband, I realized,
Bennett?
yes, my husband, Bill Bennett, that perhaps girls could benefit from a program that engaged them as a group, where girls supported each other in saying no to risk behavior and saying, we're going to wait to have sex.
This book, not only does it point out the current landscape and how laden with pitfalls it is for young girls, there are also practical solutions throughout. I want to get to a few of those. We're going to go to the phones. This is Dan from Connecticut. What's your question?
This is Mary from Illinois.
Okay, Mary.
Hi.
They wrote Dan in the prompter, but you can talk now, Mary.
All right. My granddaughter just told me that she was date raped at college, and I just want to know how to help her.
Mm-hmm. What should this mother do?
I think she was a grandmother, right, for her granddaughter. Well, first of all, it's great that she shared this with you. It means she cares, and she knows that her grandmother cares for her, and that's the first step. I think the second step would be to contact the dean at the college, because this is a very serious behavior. I mean, this is very serious. I assume these were other college students who engaged in this. Love her, tell her it was not her fault, that she cannot be blamed for this, that she will overcome this, that with a lot of love, that there are decent men out there, that for whatever reason, and I have a feeling alcohol was probably at the base of this, or drugs of some sort, of this, I guess it's a single man, young man. But I would encourage her to seek out the services at the university. Many, many colleges and universities have opportunities and have programs for girls in that, and they will keep them private.
Elayne,
she doesn't have to go public with it if she doesn't want to.
What role does faith play in all of this? Passing the faith on to a young girl, raising her in the faith community of whether it be Catholic or otherwise for the family.
Faith is one of the primary components in a healthy family, keeping the family together, keeping the family intact, bonding with your daughter, teaching your daughter reliable standards of right and wrong. The golden rule, teaching her young, when she's very young, to have compassion for others. And I have great compassion for this girl who just has shared her trauma. I would encourage her to seek out a faith-based organization to share this with. If she has a pastor or a priest she can talk to, because she will need a lot of help and a lot of love.
Love and attention through this period, yeah. That's
Exactly.
it's a hard violation and wound. Dan from Connecticut, you have a question.
Yes, I do, for Elayne. I'm just amazed at the amount of so-called disguised pornography and violence that we're seeing on network cable TV, the movies, and even the popular music. As a former public school educator and grandfather, I'm at a loss other than saying we haven't heard a public outcry about this. What can you suggest? And with that, thank you.
I'm surprised at this as well. I have followed Rihanna's story. Rihanna, who was physically abused, beaten up by Chris Brown, and Chris Brown actually went to jail for a brief period. Now he's back, and he's a big draw, and people are saying what a great dancer he is and a great singer, and participating in his comeback.
Young
and
girls
Rihanna's
lining up to see
participating
him.
in his comeback.
Yeah.
In fact, making a song with him, which I find it just very hard to believe. I actually support Tina Turner when she spoke up and said, look.
Threw a shoe at Ike?
Yeah, this is what Ike did to me, and I'm getting out and getting away. And it was much tougher for her because he was her manager.
Right.
Rihanna makes a song with Eminem called Love the Way You Lie, which is about abuse. And at the end of the the song, the girl returns to the guy, and he apparently ties her to the bed and burns the bed down. I don't know why there is not the outcry about violence, about the violence in music. We did have the Parent Music Resource Center back in the 90s that tried really hard to get the ratings on CDs and on the music, so parents would be aware of what these lyrics are. As far as violence in the movies and there doesn't seem to be any holds barred.
I'm going to play a little clip. This is Miley Cyrus talking about taking her current show. Now, her new album is called Bangers, which I won't explain. No. But she's traveling the country, and as she goes to little towns, this is how she explains herself. Listen to this.
Even though parents probably won't think this, I think my show is educational for kids because of the art that they're going to be exposed to that most people don't know about. People are taught to look at things so black and white, especially in like small towns. So I'm more excited to take this show to places where stuff like this probably wouldn't ever get accepted and kids wouldn't learn about this different kind of art.
It's education for kids, Elayne Bennett.
Well, she's just flat wrong. It's not education for kids, and it's not art.
Yeah.
It's graphic sex. I really liked Miley Cyrus when she was Hannah Montana.
In her Hannah Montana days,
I thought she had a great little, great program that girls would rush home after school to watch, and had some good values there. Sadly, she's, I think, gotten off track in a major way, and I don't quite understand. I know she doesn't have many friends. She's actually said that. She said, I don't think I have any true friends.
It's amazing when you peel back some of these performers, the wounds and the loneliness becomes so apparent. And of course, that bleeds out through their performances and through their art.
Exactly.
And in some ways, she's right. It is educational for children. It's just the wrong sort of educational. It's teaching them something, but it's nothing you'd want to pass on to your own children. Sylvia from Texas, very quickly, your question.
Yes, my question
ahead,
is basically how to handle when I teach catechism to 9 and 10-year-old girls, and they go to public school, and I've had responses when I ask them, what would make you happy, or what do you want to become, and they usually respond by saying, I would like to be sexy.
What would you say to them, Elayne?
I would say, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by being sexy? Sometimes girls think that sexy and pretty are synonymous. Right. And they've been given the wrong message. They hear the word sexy so much. They aren't really sure what sexy means. If it means they want to be desirable and by guys, then we have to wonder where are they getting that message? Yeah. I would say, well, tell me what you mean by that word. And hear what they say.
Yeah, and use it as an opportunity to
exactly, and then expand the conversation. Exactly.
Okay, very good. You can find out more information about Elayne Bennett's incredible work with the Best Friends Foundation by visiting bestfriendsfoundation.org. And her book, Daughters in Danger, Helping Our Girls Thrive in Today's Culture, is available at bookstores everywhere and online. I encourage you to get it. Elayne Bennett, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Raymond.
Thanks so much.